All right, guys, welcome back to Xero with me. I am Trevonna, and I thank you for being on this journey. I wanted to quickly jump in here to kind of correct something that I did in two videos over, or the previous video actually. So I'm gonna go right back into sharing my screen, and we'll hop right into it. So we had gone on the journey of entering the information inside of Xero for importing invoices and bills. And so what Xero does is they will give you a template for the transactions so that you can import them in a way that Xero likes. And so you have the, basically you're maximizing your time. So what we're talking right now is bulk importing. And so let me just share with you, I shared it in the other video, but let me just go ahead and share what the templates look like. It'll be a template as such. It has the different columns, and anything that has an asterisk is a requirement. So we have here the contact name, we have the invoice number, we have the reference ID, the invoice date, due date, things like that. Anything with an asterisk is required to be imported into the Xero platform. So let me go back and read a few things that I just completely skipped over inside of the other video, and we'll see. As I said in a few videos, I'm tired, so I missed a few things. So let's go down. We were talking about downloading the template. So we went through all of this, steps 1, 2, and 3. I'll just briefly click back for you guys. All right, so that's step 1, step 2, step 3, or this can be, it'll be step 1 and step 2 as far as business invoices, or step 1 and step 2 bills to pay. So that's little. And then once you get on one of those screens, you would click import, and then finally you would follow the instructions. And the instructions are that you would import the template from Xero, then you would take some time out to adjust the template with your own transactions from another CSV file, and then you would go ahead and move forward. So this is the area that I did not read. So let's go ahead, complete the required fields. Complete the import templates with the outstanding invoice and bill information. If you're moving it to Xero from other accounting software, export your invoice and bill information to copy into each template. The column headers represent invoice and bill fields. Ones with an asterisk are mandatory. They must remain the same for Xero to import the file. So that's what we talked about. So let's go over those mandatory columns, mandatory fields. Okay, so contact name. Enter the contact name exactly as it appears in Xero. If you're new, Xero creates a contact record for them. Let me kind of scroll or zoom out so we can see this a little bit better. And if it's too small for you, don't worry, I'll just read. Invoice number, after I move myself out of the way. These rows represent individual invoices or bills. If there are multiple line items for a transaction, add them as separate rows using the same invoice or bill number. Now, this question right here, this is what alerted me to the fact that I didn't read this to you guys in the other video, was that it was part of the assessment. So I had to go back and I'm looking for answers, and I realized, hey, I never even went over this. Dates. So we have the invoice date and the due date, as we see that they both have an asterisk. The invoice date is important when moving to Xero from other software. Unpaid invoices and bills dated before the conversion date should make up the conversion balances for accounts payable and receivable. Check the conversion date and add balances in accounting advanced conversion balances. The due date shows when payments are due. So use 2 digits for the date, 2 digits for the month, and 4 digits for the year format. And apparently they'll convert them over to 112 as opposed to 224. Description. Enter the invoice description. Xero still imports invoices without this, but you'll need to enter it individually before approving them. Entering the information in the import file is a more efficient use of time. And as we can see, the description doesn't have to be detailed. amounts. Enter the quantity of the item in the transaction. Enter unit amounts, either all inclusive or all exclusive of tax. You can't import a combination of both. We have the quantity amounts, the unit amounts. Both have an asterisk individually. Account code. Enter the account code as it appears in Xero. Xero uses this to code the transaction to the correct account. I don't know if I'm missing something. Well, I'll say that in just a moment. Tax type. Enter the tax type name as it appears in Xero. Check the spelling in Accounting Advanced Tax Rates. So remember we learned how to get there, right? Go to Demo Company, Accounting Advanced Tax Rates. That's where we handle all of that. So I don't know if I'm missing something, but this seems like a lot of work here. But I'm assuming that it's here, and especially as a bulk um, process, that it must be something that makes things a lot easier for others. So I will continue to learn as I go, but that's the end of this video. I wanted to put that information out here because I did not address this before. The non-essential or non-required, non-mandatory fields are contact, reference, inventory, details, tracking, branding theme, and save. So I believe I went over those. Yes, I went over these, but let me just briefly go over it just to read it in this particular video so you don't have to necessarily go back to that video. Enter information into the email and address columns. Go to the Contacts tab to review it after importing. So we would enter information into the email and the address columns, however many are necessary, and then we would go ahead and view contacts to make sure that it's there. Reference. Enter a reference to help you identify and research for imported transactions. So a specific reference number. And it seems as if reference numbers do not have to only be unique to every transaction, but just referencing whatever it needs to reference. And so sometimes some transactions obviously can have the same reference number. Inventory. If you set up inventory items, enter an inventory code to help you monitor the items you buy and sell. If there's a new code in the file, Xero creates a new untracked inventory item. You can change it to track later if you need. Go to Business, Products, and Services. So let's see what that looks like. Business. Products and Services. All right, and of course there's a way for us to learn more about this, but that's what we have. Okay, details. Add a discount up to 2 decimal places without the percentage sign. Enter a currency to use instead of the base currency set up for your organization. You can import tax amounts different from the ones calculated during using the tax type column. Depending on your region, add a new tax amount column or use the existing one to enter the amounts. All amounts must be tax exclusive. So here we go with currency, discount, 2 decimal places without a percentage sign. Tracking. Add tracking categories and options to track transactions by department, store, or other divisions you want to report on. You first need to set tracking up in Accounting Advanced Tracking Categories. Accounting Advanced Tracking Categories. So I may not understand all of this, but I am learning how to navigate through Xero, and also I'm learning as I go. Branding theme. If you set up custom invoice templates in Xero, Enter the branding theme to apply to the invoice. It must be spelled exactly as it appears in settings, invoice settings, branding themes. So settings, invoice settings, branding theme. Let's see if we can find that over here. Settings, invoice settings, and branding themes. So we have new branding theme, special project, standard, very orange. Save. Save the updated template as a CSV file to import. So there was some confusion before. I assumed that they would also send me like just a sample list of things to import into the um, Xero import template, just some email addresses, some contact names, different things like that. But that was not the case. So in the other video, I'm thoroughly confused. I still am trying to understand how this is a simple tool, but I understand a little bit more. I took a sip of water. I'm a little more awake. So thank you guys so much for coming to Xero with me. I will see you in the next one, Lord willing.